future of virtual motorsports is now. This September, the heart of sim racing beats in Chicagoland as the Sim Gaming Expo takes over the Schaumburg Convention Center, September 5th through the 7th. Go wheel to wheel in our competition area, test the latest gear, meet top brands, creators, and celebrate with fellow sim racing enthusiasts. Whether you're a seasoned sim racer or new to the sport, this is your chance to be part of history. To purchase tickets and see the full exhibitor lineup, visit SimGamingExpo.com.
Live from iRacing's virtual Darlington Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Season 2 finale of the premier sim racing Sim Gaming Expo Truck Series. Tonight, the Regan Bogue Motorsports 150 will crown a Season 2 champion, and we're happy that you're spending your Wednesday night with us here on Green Flag TV. Our producer is Dustin, Ollis, and alongside Derrick Watson, my name is Evan Posocco. As always, happy that you're joining us for the culmination of a 10-week championship where we may be just moments away from crowning our Season 2 champ. It started way back in the start of June at the tricky triangle of Pocono Raceway. Derrick, we have raced at a who's who of different circuits on one of the more diverse Truck Series schedules we've seen in this series, and it all comes to an end here tonight.
Yeah, and sort of fitting in a way, we're going to bookend this season with two very difficult and tricky tracks. You start at the tricky triangle of Pocono. Tonight, we're going to finish it at Darlington, a track known to really give people nightmares and havoc and headaches when you're racing on this surface. So as we're going to end up here, we'll take a look at the points here. Now this, for the lead, Evan, is locked. James O'Brien not here tonight. The only driver who could have mathematically have caught Bradley Holly. So by turning on the truck here in a minute, Bradley Holly will become your Season 2 champion. But lots happening back in the field. You know, Richard Regan not here tonight. Last I looked at the roster. So Ted Lowendick will win that tie. Jeff Evans, Matt Gagnon, Steve Loving. So Loving and Barney, by the way, in the tie for 8th and 9th. So still some points to be decided, but the driver title has been decided.
That has, as soon as Bradley Holly takes to the green flag, and he was able to put himself in that position via the race win just a week ago in Milwaukee. Same conversation on the team standings, but the question tonight may be the lack of the trucks out of the Regan Bogue Motorsports camp. They come into tonight with the advantage in the team championship standings. However, we don't think there's going to be a contingent from the Regan Bogue Motorsports group on track here today, which means that if the Whataback Racing trucks have enough trucks just to take the green flag, then in that case, they would overtake Regan Bogue Motorsports for the team championship. That is almost a certainty. But of course, we'll wait till the race ends to confirm it. But Whataback Racing appears to be lining up to claim a win in the team championship as well. Well, as qualifying gets underway and we get set to take you trackside, want to one more time on the year say thanks to all of the various partners who make our coverage possible. And it starts with our friends at the top at the Sim Gaming Expo. Get ready for the ultimate simulation gaming experience. Sim Gaming Expo is bringing all genres of simulation and gaming tech under one roof, September 5th through 7th at the Schaumburg Convention Center in Chicagoland. Test the latest gear, meet your favorite streamers, and connect with the community that lives and breathes simulation. Don't miss your chance to be a part of it. Grab your tickets now at SimGamingExpo.com or scan the QR code.
Next up, tonight's race sponsor, Regan Bogue Motorsports. You know, at Regan Bogue Motorsports, speed is just the starting point, but success is built through discipline, focus, and development. At Regan Bogue Motorsports, their iRacing coaching is built to develop winners through one-on-one training. The focus is on the fundamentals that turn fast drivers into champions. Be a smart racecraft, disciplined decision-making, and pressure-proof performance. This is not about quick fixes. It's about building a foundation for lasting success. Regan Bogue Motorsports, developed for wins, built for championships.
As well, I want to say thanks to our friends at Palm Rat Golf. Palm Rat Golf blends classic style with a modern fit, designed to move you from the office to the course to wherever the day takes you. Timeless looks, everyday comfort, all in one. Palm Rat Golf, made to move, styled to stand out.
Next up is Outlap Motorsports. At Outlap, it's not just about horsepower and lap times. It's about the people behind the wheel. They're in the paddock, they're in the pits, heck, they're wrenching late nights just like you. Now, whether you're chasing tenths on the stopwatch or just trying to clear your head on a Sunday drive, Outlap has got your back with honest support, real tuning, and a true love for the motorsports scene. But here's the real talk. Motorsports is more than a hobby. For a lot of us, heck, it's therapy. That's why Outlap proudly supports men's mental health and encourages drivers to check in with each other on and off the track. Fast cars, real talk, Outlap Motorsports.
And last but not least, Window Nation. Window Nation is recognized by Forbes as the top vinyl window replacement company in the country. Their energy-efficient windows are designed to keep homes cool during the summer and warm through the winter, all proudly made in the heart of the USA. With expert installation and industry-leading quality, Window Nation is the smart choice for any window replacement project. Big thanks to all of those partners and more that we'll talk about as the night continues on for making tonight's race coverage possible. And I'll tee you up for this one, Derrick, because the people don't normally get to see us on camera. What we're sporting conflicting clothing, I might add, in this race specifically. So tell us a little bit more about why we're wearing these outfits and what we'll see on track with some of the trucks here tonight.
Well, typically at Darlington across NASCAR, we've supported and we've really come to this idea of throwback week, right? You see the old schemes, the Pettys, the Yarboroughs, the Allisons, but obviously this week is college football kickoff week. It started last Saturday with Iowa State and Kansas State. Continues this weekend with my Ohio State Buckeyes, hopefully beating Texas. Wow, that look on your face was not good. I think got great games this weekend. It goes all weekend long. So we talked to admins of Premier Sim Racing. We thought, you know what? Let's make this a college-themed week. So a lot of drivers tonight will be in different paint schemes. They're in paint schemes that represent either their alma mater, maybe a child's school, just something they're a fan of. So all night long, you're going to see different trucks tonight. So you and I decided we'd dress up, and this rivalry between us has been going on for as long as we've been working together. No. That's not.
So you get a good look at it. That's all.
Not the champions. I recall us hosting the trophy up in the air about it.
Still haven't beat us in like 2,000 days or something, I think, right? Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that. We're going to work on that. We're going to get there. But yeah, so tonight, college week, and we'll be happy to show that. So you'll see a lot of trucks tonight. I mean, heck, down there's Duke, there's Auburn, there's Ohio State. There's some Liberty Universities down there, I believe. So it'll be lots of paint schemes to look at as the night goes on.
And of course, I'm representing the University of Michigan, 2023 national champions. Not my alma mater. The diploma in the background will conflict. I went to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Our sports teams have not been very good. Our football team is not bad now, but our school has not had any sports to talk about since the 90s. With my mom's side of the family being from Ann Arbor, many of them work for the University of Michigan. For sports, it's Globe Blue all the time. Qualifying has drawn to a close, so let's get down to the action track side and let's take a look at your Profit Python starting grid. Pole position tonight goes to the 26 of Robert Barney. He's going to bring us to the green flag tonight next to the man who looks to be crowned the champion, Bradley Hawley, starting in second. Andrew Sharp will roll off tonight in the number 3 position alongside James Morgan on the outside of row number 2 in 4th. Back on row 3, P5 starter tonight, the number 51 of Jeff Evans. He's next to the 16 of Dustin Baumgartner, who rolls from P6. Back on row number 4, it is the number 13 of Ted Lowendick starting 7th tonight, and the 42 of Mike Toomer Jr. in P8. And on row number 5, P9 starter, the 23 of Brad Adams, next to your 10th place starter, the 79 of Trace Piterney.
Moving back here into P11, you'll find Nicholas Sarov, and he's up there in that 67 truck next to Doug Evans in the 41. Go back into P13, you'll find Stacy Hunter next to Steve Loving, P13, P14 back in row 7. Row 8, Evan Williams on the outside in the 6 truck is next to Nick Hunter back in P16. P17, Zach Williams in the Prophet Python machine, he'll next to Zachary Burnt in that 28 truck, the Tropicana look. The 62 of Mark Kalin is next to the 60 of Colting. That's a look right there. Kentucky and Tennessee side by side. These drivers did not qualify, by the way.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers not qualifying, starting based on provisional. Flo Doms, 21st. Steve Baker rolling from the number 22 spot ahead of Jacob Dunn in 23rd. Thomas Sink in 24th. Doug Race is 25th. Brian Tope, 26th. And Nicholas Schwartz in the number 27 position. That's a look top to bottom at your Prophet Python starting grid. Every second counts on the track and in making money. Like a perfect pit stop, the right deal at the right time means big profits. Introducing Prophet Python, the ultimate Discord for deal hunters and side hustlers. Get blazing fast alerts on price drops, secret sales, and hidden jackpots before anyone else. The race to profit is on. Don't get left in the dust. Join now at whop.com/Prophet Python. That's WHOP.com/Prophet Python. Prophet Python, strike fast, profit faster. Well, as always, Derrick, 75 minutes go on the board as we get set to crown a SimGamingExpo Truck Series champion here in round number 10.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. The track is difficult to drive, so they're going to get another pace lap in here, Evan. So I think while we're doing that, though, before we look into this week, let's take a look back at last week and the amazing race we had via the Mr. Hedge photos. And what an awesome race it really was. You see some of the photos. A great race all night long. Lots of side-by-side battles. Heck, came down to one of our closest margins of victory in SimGamingExpo Truck Series history. Only less than 0.2 of a second between Lowendick and Bradley Holly. So some of the images will pop up here. You see Brad celebrating there. But you know, at Mr. Hedge, sim racing is full of unforgettable moments. And Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography can help you capture them all. From first wins to fresh liveries. Heck, even those crashes you'll never forget, even if you want to. Mr. Hedge turns virtual racing into memories worth sharing. They're clean, they're sharp, and they're made for sim racers. Visit mrhedge.co.uk to get your best moments in focus. And Evan, I got to tell you, some of the cool paints tonight, even if I don't like the schools because of my Ohio State love, there's some awesome paints out here. I am looking forward to the Mr. Hedge screenshots the next couple of days of this race at Darlington.
This is a beautiful racetrack that was built on an old farm in the middle of rural South Carolina. Its unique shape is the legacy of a minnow pond, and the former farmer who owned the land wasn't willing to give up. That's why turns 3 to 4 so different than turns 1 and 2. It makes for a unique challenge. Let's close out season number 2 with a great race. We're happy that you're with us. So Green Flag TV, the field in the hands of Robert Barney for the final time of this season. Let's go racing at Darlington. Trouble in the back of the field. Caution flag early in this race. That looks like in the end, they all get it righted, but not before the yellow flag flies on the opening lap of this race. You saw Robert Barney clear for the race lead. He'll be P1 at the moment of yellow.
Well, this was a concern I had with a couple of drivers when talking this week was about if this race spreads out. That was the if. If it spreads out, we think we'll go green for a long time at a track like Darlington. But getting it spread out may be the problem we face here in these first couple of restarts. So everyone's going to come on around here. You see Barney the flag man has that yellow flag waving. We'll wait and see who may have caused this caution. What may happen is towards the back of the field. I know that, Evan, so we'll wait and see what begat what here.
Yeah, it was kind of right in the middle of the field. We'll wind it back and take a look. Look for the number 19 of Nicholas Hunter and the 6 of Evan Williams, scored in 15th and 16th spot. That is where the contact is going to happen, and then you can debate who was wrong and who was right. Most of the time, under green flag conditions, you don't really want to go side by side into the corners here at Darlington, right? The racetrack's super wide, but the racing surface is not. So oftentimes, if you do not have a run to complete a pass into the corner, you may balk at it until you get a good enough run to clear somebody into the corner. But obviously, a 2x2 restart is the exception to that. Everybody had to go in there. You're also at a bit of an awkward speed on lap 1, right? It's not race pace. You kind of got to float it into the corner. And as you watch those trucks middle of the screen, the 6 is on the bottom. First glance to me looks like the 19 goes up the hill as expected, and then maybe either got loose or intentionally turned down the corner a little bit too early, and Evan Williams was there. Let's see it from the 6's perspective.
Yeah, the 6 pretty holds still, and 19 is going to comes down, barely avoids that truck up ahead, and then the caution is out from there. And I mean, these corners are tricky, right? It's the story of Darlington. This is one of the, I think, probably the most difficult oval that we race on actively in NASCAR. The corners are different. The banking, it's narrow. There's no space to make a mistake in these corners. I just think at a track like this, if this can go green, Evan, exposing might be the wrong word, maybe a better word, but this is going to expose quickly who is good and not good this track. This race will spread out here. The people who are good will flow to the front, and the people who are not good will struggle in the back.
We see the left-hand side of your screen, the names of some of the universities that are being represented in the field. I guess the first one we can point out is that 184 machine on the outside of the racetrack. Bradley Holly representing Baylor University, fan of the school, and still has Miracle Flow and Rosemary Custom Homes on the truck, but obviously those pretty iconic Baylor colors and the Baylor Bear there on the deck lid.
Yeah, we'll move through Colton Lane in the 60 with Tennessee. Just a fan of Tennessee, I believe he said. So Colton's representing those colors. Brad represented those colors a couple weeks ago at Kentucky just to mess with Mark. You'll see a couple more. Look on the side. We've got the Ohio State University out there. University of Virginia for Andrew Sharp. Ted Lowendick's, but if we can get a front view at some point of Ted Lowendick's truck, that has got to be the biggest Brutus Buckeye head I have seen on the front of anything in a long time. There it is. That is Brutus Buckeye.
It'd be a shame if that hood looking a little rough at the end of the night. It's Darlington. Good idea to keep it off the right side of the truck because these races can get a little bit crazy. Let's try this one again. Coming to a restart to put lap number 4 in the books. Green flag flies back underway. It is a healthy jump for Robert Barney. He leads by 3 truck lengths into turn number 1. Can the field navigate 1 and 2 this time?
So far, all is good. A couple of 2x2 battles. I'll see some cars that are single filed out. Now down the back. That turn out at 2 is the last tricky spot I was scared of. Looks good down the field. So now we'll see if we can get this thing kind of single filed. A couple battles happening back there, but about to complete a lap under green here, Evan, and we are officially go at Darlington.
Finally on through. Mike Toomer Jr. was the truck that was a little bit slow off of 4 that time. Pitt Herney going to go to his inside. That battle back at the tail end of the top 10. As you can see, Bradley Holly in second spot now, trying to chase down the pole sitter, Robert Barney. And to be said, all it took was for him to take the green flag to make it official. He has done that. So while there is still 70 minutes of battling to do this season, and Bradley Holly would love to be a 3-time race winner, he is officially your Season 2 champion of the Premier Sim Racing SimGamingExpo Truck Series. He joins the list of former champs, including Richard Regan Jr. out of the Regan Bogue Motorsports Group from season number 1. So congratulations to your champion, that man right there, Mr. Bradley Holly.
Hey, that might be the brightest we've seen Brad's room look. He, of course, always matches those lights to the trucks. He's green and the yellow of Baylor. So a nice look there for Brad. Oh, they're 3 wide. Zach Williams off the banking, but there went the Duke car on by. The Auburn car of Doug Rice went on by, but we're good. That looked a little scary for just a moment.
And you can see those 2 Profit Python trucks now in the back. Let's take a second look at what happened. Oh, big hit to the outside wall. And Zach Williams, the one who loses a bunch of time. I don't know if he got loose because the truck that hit the wall was behind him, but he basically hit the eject button, went way down to the inside. Maybe he was trying to just get out of the way anyways, and it just so happened the truck behind him smacked the fence, but that was a big scare. And when you get a truck into the wall off of 2, like it is so easy to do so here at Darlington, that can sometimes turn into a big mess. So I think we're fortunate that wasn't much more. And the driver who tried to knock the fence down with the right-hand side was the 19 of Nicholas Hunter. He got into the outside again, that time the replay in turns 3 and 4. So a rough lap for the number 19 Tundra. And now Nicholas Hunter, after starting 16th, drops all the way to P last in 27th.
Yeah, and credit to Nick, by the way, for having the ability and skills and the awareness to get off of that. They were wide again off the track. Stacy Hunter was back there, and I think we're all going to be good. The good news, as you said, for this track, Evans, once you get out of the corners, this thing is super wide. There's plenty of space to save your truck here. Maybe not as wide as Pogue. No,
not
done.
done.
Around.
Flowdom spins, caution flag number 2. There's more drivers involved in it. Heavy damage. Doug Rice, Colton Lane. What a mess on the back straightaway in what was almost just a single truck spin. We saw Doms go around, but then when Lane tried to avoid it, the 60 and the 35 steered into the inside wall, and heavy damage on 2 of those trucks. We'll get a second look at that accident in a moment. First, here's the moment with Stacy Hunter. 71 got turned sideways off of 4, and then kind of additional contact down the front stretch, but give him credit. Jacob Dunn tried to give Stacy Hunter some room. They saved those trucks, and then a lap later, it would all fall apart.
Yeah, here we'll come next to the replay of what actually brought the caution out, and we'll see what happens. So I kind of saw it live on your screen as it happened. These Flo Doms, and then Colton Lane and Doug Rice involved, as you called it out. So wait for that one to queue up here. And well, I can't say we're surprised by the contact, but see what Flo Doms got loose in his zone up in front of Colton Lane. Doug Rice, I mean, they both went low to avoid it. And just it's funny, I just said how wide this track was, Evan, but all of a sudden there was not enough width for Doug Rice and Colton Lane.
Yeah, found the one spot at the track where there's not a ton of space, and here's the onboard perspective. Truck spinning, you go for the gap, but that gap fills, and again, there's not a lot of lifting in that scenario because you're actually hoping to use the power of the truck to turn to get under it, and all of a sudden, you're basically driving into the inside wall at pace, and ironically enough, Dom's the truck who spins to start the accident, probably the one who got off the most scot-free, although the 113 machine down to the safety of pit road. Looks like Dom's night is going to be done after taking a tow to pit lane. Let's watch from the perspective of Nick Schwartz.
Duke Blue Devil truck, pardon me here. He's going to just barely squeeze on by. He saw Colton Lane wiggle. He went to the inside, and that Blue Devil was a lucky devil because he just went right on through. Nick, by the way, a graduate of Duke, with a major in English, by the way.
Let's see if there's some other ones that we haven't touched on yet as the lights go out on top of the pace car. You see Colton Lane's got a black flag for some pit-related service things, as there's a good look high and above again at Bradley Holly's machine. James Morgan, not the only of the Ohio State University trucks in the field on his machine. Just behind him, the number 51. That's the South Carolina Gamecocks truck of Jeff Evans, who moved to the area about 2 years ago, so is supporting the local university in the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, it said somebody couldn't join the cult of Clemson, I think is what he said in his notes. So, but up front of them, Andrew Sharp, by the way, University of Virginia, by the way, up there. Andrew graduated from there, so he went to
Masters of Public Policy, by the way, Masters. Yeah, so it's impressive stuff.
Makes me feel like I didn't do anything in my life.
It's a good-looking machine. Always loved the colors of the University of Virginia. Something different with the orange and the kind of blacked-out blue. It's a nice color palette on that. And that truck's got a great view for this upcoming restart. Sharp in the number 3 spot. There's been no changes in the top 3. And Robert Barney gets another great restart. Off to the races we go. Challenges on for second. Sharp trying to get to the inside of Holly. Just can't make it stick, though, when they hit the banking.
So far, the same as we've seen before, but not really. Look how fast. The top, 10, 15 trucks here. Singled out a couple of wall bounces. Saw some trucks kind of come off pretty quickly. Mark Caleb bounced off in the University of Kentucky truck. That Duke truck looked like it bounced off, and all it seems to be good. Here's a pass now on the inside. There's Schwartz getting around Zachary Burnt, and he's going to complete that pass right before the start-finish line.
So Schwartz loses spots in the exchange after being the one to get sideways off of the corner, but he's able to make it less than it could have been. And now you watch the number 62, Mark Kalin, on the inside of this 27 up top. Steve Loving going to get past, and there's trouble behind. Wrecking, it's Evan Williams. He'll go around. Caution is out. A second hit there, as the person who could not avoid him, I think, was the 71 of Stacy Hunter. Did they get together, or did that 71 somehow avoid T-boning that truck in the middle of the field?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Wait and see here. I'm surprised, Evan. I thought because of how little racing surface there is here and how much this field spreads out, I thought 3 cautions was like the most we'd have all race, and here we are on our third, less than 15 minutes in. So I'm a little surprised. But watch, this is from the University of Oregon truck, by the way. That's the cause right there. He just tagged right to the back of the 6. That's Steve Baker, by the way, representing the Ducks.
It was a bit of a checkup off of 2. We were talking about the battle between the 27 and the 62. The 27 up top kind of checked up. It's a weird way to exit the corner, and it was an accordion effect. It caused the 41 machine of Doug Evans to check up. You see the 6, he goes low to check up. The 2 is trying to make a move. He's got the run off the corner. He's trying to go somewhere, and there is where Stacy Hunter comes in late. I thought for sure the whole door was going to be ripped off of that truck. I think the only damage was maybe to the quarter panel of the Hunter truck, so that could have been way, way worse than it actually ended up being.
Yeah, watch it from Stacy Hunter. We'll talk about this truck in a second, but watch this avoidance. I mean, yeesh. I know there are wraps nowadays, but that is so close. By the way, Stacy, that truck is a different school. The University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Network School. His daughter is going there, and she is going to hopefully get a degree there. She's going for radiation therapy as her major. By the way, his son is in the military as well. As he said, hey, please don't mention one kid without the other tonight. He said, I'll get in trouble. So, yeah, Stacy was proud of both kids. Want to make sure they both here get mentioned. But, yeah, a great run here, and still a close-up one. Trying to find all my notes. I said Stacy, I mentioned it. Fort Moore, so Benning, is where his son is training in the Army. So I'm sure a proud dad for both of his kids, and a great-looking truck there for Stacy Hunter.
And thankful that that truck's going to stay in this race. Great piece of wreck avoidance to avoid that one. And to your point on, the history of the Darlington throwback, and drivers have often, at least on the sim side of things, right, where you don't have to appease sponsors and brands and stuff, have always been able to kind of let a little bit of their personality show with the throwback schemes that they have used. And I think we still maintain the spirit of that with the college night. Great to hear all the different stories of drivers, if they've attended these schools or why they're fans of these schools. And for many colleges, a family deal where a lot of people will go to the same college as other people in their family and stuff. And, going to collegiate sporting events has a significant part of kind of family traditions and whatnot. So I think that this twist on the Darlington Special Paint Scheme Night still holds a lot of those same values to be true. But it has been a handful of yellows in the opening 20 laps of this race. Trying to see if we can get a green flag pace to it. Just under 1 hour left to go. Barney still good in the box. It's another good restart.
Well, last time they single filed out pretty quickly. It's going to happen again here. And if we can keep it that way, Barney's continuing to get those great jumps on the restart here. As Bradley Holly running him down. Again, we pretty quickly have single filed out. Seems anyone who kind of snaps off the corner. Oh, there's one of the Williams trucks back there in that Prophet Python. He smacked the wall. But up front here, just a battle. This is Lowendick, by the way. He's fighting with Andrew Sharp. And they've got it worked out now. Sharp is falling back to the field.
You can see the big gap between, call it the top 2 or so, and third on back. Barney and Holly try to check out. They've got about a second advantage over Ted Lowendick on back. It's Lowendick, one of your biggest movers. 7th to 3rd on pace. Jeff Evans 4th. Andrew Sharp rounds out your top 5. as they run now. Couple of trucks looking low. That's the number 2, the Solpec entry of Steve Baker on the bottom, trying to find a way around the 67 at Xerif in a battle for P12.
That's one of the, we joked tonight in pre-race with some of the drivers of all the drivers who picked a paint scheme, Evan. The 2 with Steve Baker had the most schemes available because it feels like Oregon, of course, being, we're in Nike's headquarters. They get new uniforms about every week, it feels like. So we kind of joked, hey, what should be like 12 Oregon uniforms did you pick from? Oh, hold on.
Oh, in trouble, the 16.
And he's
Dustin Bumgarner was 8th at the stripe. That truck has got a black flag for damage and is currently parked along the inside wall. There is no caution yet. We stay green. Bumgarner will get a second look. I think was involved in an accident with Brett Adams, but somehow for the short pit, I guess I should say the short access on the inside, no yellow. Let's see. Oh, that's a huge hit to the outside wall. The 16 checks up, gets turned from behind. That happens so fast for Dustin Bumgarner. And now that truck has taken a tow to pit road, so we stay green, and now a battle for the race lead is on. Robert Barney has led every single lap thus far, but it is no longer. New leader in turn number 2. The champ goes to P1 as Bradley Holly now out in front for the first time.
A very comfortable pass. Now, let's watch this here. What's going to happen to Pederny? I think it's going to be the same what happened in that last yellow. It's going to check up really fast. I mean, Bumgarner was already sideways, and Pederny's had nowhere to go and hit him. There's Arizona State University colors, but the Sun Devils, I do believe, is their mascot.
It's true.
Which, if you were experienced the Arizona heat, you know exactly why it's called the Sun Devils.
Listen, it is what is the line? Is it King of the Hill? The line that Phoenix is a testimony to man's arrogance.
Yes.
Like, Las Vegas is hot. As somebody who lived in the Las Vegas desert for 13 years, Arizona is always 5 to 10 degrees hotter than it is in Las Vegas. Like, routinely 120s, and I will staunchly defend it's a dry heat because I do think a dry heat's better than humidity, but people in Phoenix are built different.
Yeah, I had a friend in just outside Phoenix tell me it was only 110 last week.
Yep, that's accurate. Well, now as we spread out, you can see that just because the trucks are single file doesn't mean we're in the safe. That great shot down the back straightaway every time you come off of turn number 2 shows you just how tail happy these trucks are getting. A lot less, I would say, out of turn number 4. And again, they are both straight exits off of the corner. It's not like a quad oval where, the turn 2 exit's tighter than a turn 4 because of the way the front stretch is shaped. But again, it's how different this track is laid out. Turns 1 and 2 are tighter, more wheel. Look at that, another truck getting way out of shape. On the bottom, it was the 23 of Brett Adams. And Adams is going to be coming to pit road this time through. So turn 2 continues to be the calamity corner, and Adams is pitting under green from a top 10 position.
And I believe that was Burnt we saw up top that kind of swung off the wall nearly at the same time. By the way, there's Trace Burton squeezed up in the wall. He is getting shuffled back through the field. There's Doug Evans in the Clemson car. Oh, they're continuing to hit the wall, and around he goes is Doug Evans. I think it was Pederny who made the contact, but honestly, so many cars went swinging on by so quick, Evan. I'm not actually sure which one made the contact.
In Pederny, you saw the accident a little bit earlier. Let's take a look with Adams, who had gotten into the outside wall, so maybe that influenced his decision to come down. Remember, though, Pederny got the major front-end damage on his truck from the accident down the back straightaway a couple of laps ago. So the 79 had been driving with a lot of front-end damage. I think it was hurting that truck, and that 79 was really having to fight. I don't know what influence, if any, that played on this battle, but as they came off of turn number 2, that 79 was losing a bunch of spots, ended up squeezed into the outside wall, and then he got hit from behind by Nick Schwartz. That turned him down into Doug Evans. So we've seen a lot of yellows. We've seen a lot of trucks committed for service. First time we have seen all the leaders come in. 27 laps and 20 minutes in this race have passed, and it is wholesale pit service as the leaders hit pit road for the first time.
Yeah, I can't say as I'm surprised. I mean, this track obviously known to eat tires faster than fuel. It's funny, when I was talking with drivers earlier, I said, hey, how long's the fuel run? What kind of success are you getting? everyone kind of laughed a little bit and kind of made it known that they weren't really sure because the tires were the bigger problem here. So I am not surprised. Right now we're in pit road. 4 tires, I would guess, for everybody. Watch your pit stop times on the right side of your screen. But I cannot imagine a world where anybody takes 2 tires at Darlington.
Everybody in the 14-second range. Drag race off a pit lane in favor of Robert Barney. So just after Bradley Holly had worked so hard to take the race lead away, the number 26 uses the benefit of pit stall number 1 to make a pass on pit road. I think Robert Barney will cycle back through to the race lead. He was only 1/10 of a second faster in the box as we get a second look at the accident coming off of turn number 2. The 41 machine getting spun up against the outside wall after the issues with Trace Piderny. And now Holly will go back into the number 2 spot and have to go back on the offensive.
Yeah, I said at first I thought it was Piderny, but some trucks went swinging on by, and I was right. It was Piderny who made the contact. I mean, this was squeezed up against the wall, and that truck bounced off one too many times, and on around he went. Here's Nick Hunter, by the way. That's his webcam view here tonight. I want to thank all the drivers who provided their webcams all season to let us get a view into their life. And what sticks out to me there, Evan, is how high that wheel is, almost chin level. And I know every driver has a preference of, how far back you sit or, what have you. But I feel as though it's a little odd to have your wheel at chin level.
I feel like that's probably the most realistic setup, right? Like, I look at that and I'm like, that's how Ryan Newman looked when he was in a stock car, right? Like, the wheel is pretty straight in front of you. But to your point, one of the benefits of racing at home and not in a race car is you can kind of do what is most comfortable for you. And most people just want the wheel lower, right? Just for the sake of comfortability. But that's probably the more accurate wheel position than what most people will use on the sim. And of course, he's using those VR goggles to give him a unique perspective as well. So for the first time tonight, everybody up front's going to be on fresh tires. Your top 21 trucks were in. 4 tires and fuel for all of them. 50-plus minutes still left to go. We're back underway. And let's see if Robert Barney on fresh tires can lead some more laps up in front.
Whoa, Zachary burnt to the inside. He's got it saved. Stacey Hunter's back there. Zach Williams' truck was the one in the wall, so all is good in the back here, Evan. We're going to keep moving on through and stay green here. A truck slow on the bottom, by the way.
You've already looked. Someone struggling on the bottom. I think that one might have been the 3 Jacob Dunn. There's some side-by-side up in front of them is the 48 Michigan Thomas Sink fighting with the 27 of Steve Lovin. Huge tail-happy moment off of turn number 2. That 48 was yawed Ray out. He stayed in the gas and made the pass in his Chevrolet. So what a move for the 48. And up front, a change for the race lead. Robert Barney not able to hold on for 20-plus laps like he did on the first stint in this race. Bradley Holly swiftly goes back to P1.
Oh, boy, that got close between Dunn and Loving right there. And, well, it didn't take Bradley Holly as long this time, did it, to get up there and make that pass. In the previous runs, feels like it's taken forever for that truck to come in and make something happen. On around he goes, but this is right here. This is Jacob Dunn on back. They're fighting just as hard as they are up front. This is Dunn. That's Loving. That's Burnt. There's your University of Maryland car back there of Mike Toomer Jr. back there. This right now is the battle for P11 on back, where it was. Now we've moved off to the battle with Thomas Sink. This is for P9 on your screen.
Yeah, a lot of trucks really struggling with a loose condition, and that exit of turn number 2 headed down the Bogue backstretch continues to be the sketchy part of this track, deemed too tough to tame. 34 laps total complete so far, make it 35 this time by, but the number up top that matters is the clock. 49 minutes to go in this race. If we were to go green, the sim estimates that would be about 93 laps of racing. So call it quarter distance right now. More trouble on the back straightaway. The 48 of Thomas Sink is out of control again. Had to go low to catch the truck. He'll hang on, but it'll drop him from the number 10 spot back to about P12.
He's going to get back in line right in front of Zachary Burnt, right in front of Mike Tuber Jr. And I said in the opening, Evan, there's something about this track. Either you get it or you don't. And for some drivers, oh, he got bumped. That's what he got. He got a bump from Steve Loving. And then he's going to get a second one. Nope, he gets a second one from somebody, just not from Steve Loving. But this track, either you love or you hate it. And I think you experienced that, Evan, and talking with different drivers as well. But there's no middle of the road when it comes to Darlington. So when you're not great at this track, by the way, it is a long, miserable night. I don't care if it's 20 laps, 50 laps, 200 laps, a full Southern 500 like iRacing used to do. If you're not good at this track, it is a long, long race in any vehicle.
It is a hard-fought one. You say 75 minutes on the clock. It almost feels and sounds shorter than that is,
hours.
But yeah, these 75-minute races have been sometimes longer than what a lot of leagues would schedule if it was just a lap counter. Again, a lot of yellows tonight may take that number down a touch, but don't think 75 minutes is not a lot of time for some action. Zachary Burnt going to go to the inside of Thomas Sink this time. Slides right up in front and forces the issue to make the pass. He'll move into P12. And now a tricky spot for Mike Toomer Jr., though. Can't really try that. Yeah, turn down on the exit at turn number 2 like that. Just not going to set the 42 up with the run that he needed. 48 holds his ground. Toomer gets sideways. In fact, he gets passed by Zach Williams as we check back in quickly amongst the leaders. Holly still leading to Barney. Evans ahead of Lowendick. That battle for P3 and 4.
Yeah, lots going on here. Here's Jeff Evans back here. He's just up in front of Ted Lowendick. And they're also, I mean, they're battling hard. That's a teammate battle. That's Steve Baker on behind them. So, that's Mark Kalin. Here's Teddy's webcam, by the way. Teddy looks locked in and focused. So look at the difference there. You can tell everything about Teddy's setup is so different. Maybe it's the perspective of the webcam, Evan, but Ted's kind of looking down a little bit, it feels like. He's kind of just got chin a little bit down. So compare that to Nick Hunter a moment ago where things would have been eye level without the VR headset. Here's Teddy kind of sitting above the rig almost. Hold on,
caution with his perspective. It's not in front of him. I don't see trouble. The 48 truck. Thomas Sink, 16th spot, down and off of the racetrack. Would not be the first time on this run that we've seen an issue with Thomas's machine, but it is still under power and going the right direction. Let's take a look at top. There was a lot of contact between he and the 54 machine. Brian Tope. I wonder if the 48 got sideways enough for the sim to throw the yellow, because they never went all the way around, but that 48 was at least 60 degrees sideways.
I think if we keep going, I think that's your problem right there. Yeah, I thought we were a little early in the replay, and to see Colton Lane kind of got loose trying to avoid it, but that's your, there you go. There's your caution right there. So that's eventually what did end up happening. Brian Tope, I believe, has said he feels like he was at fault for the contact. He'll move to the end of the longest line. Well, by the way, up front, Bradley Holly, you mentioned in those Baylor colors, not where Brad went to school, but he's representing his wife tonight, Evan. That's his wife's alma mater, so he's representing for a different reason since he already wore the Tennessee colors a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, all different reasons as we take a look there, and that perspective, I'm sure, is how it felt from behind the wheel. When, truck to the inside to push it up, but that left rear quarter panel is a super vulnerable part of the truck. And Thomas Sink to be down pit road, Chase Paterni, Nick Schwartz, Colton Lane down, but nowhere near kind of the premeditated and wholesale service that we saw amongst the leaders the last time through. And again, every time we get a yellow, you take 3-4 laps or so out of the green flag conditions in this race. Both Sink and the other truck involved in the accident you've seen have gotten end of the longest line of penalties for being involved in the accident. So Sink and Tope will have to start from the rear of the field. One thing I was going to bring up at the start of the night, Derrick, was it is a bit of a lower car count than we're used to seeing. That is not uncommon, right? Last couple weeks of the year, last race of the season, drivers who are not in battles for driver championship positions or team championship positions may opt to take the night off. I would have said early in the race, hey, maybe that'll mean we're going to get some longer green flag runs, but I think the challenge of Darlington has proved that it doesn't matter if you've got 27 trucks out there or 87 trucks out there, trouble's going to find you somewhere.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm a little surprised as well, to be honest with you. I'm pretty wildly surprised. Well, under caution, and we're going to go green next time by. Let's quickly get in our Miracle Flow team update. It starts with that 184. The Baylor University truck of Bradley Holly has led some laps. Only him and Robert Barney, your only leaders tonight. So Brad's having a pretty solid night. We'll move back to P3, just behind him. The South Carolina Gamecocks car of number 51, Jeff Evans. Evans, by the way, painted a bunch of these cars tonight, so credit to him. And then if we move back through the field, and we'll find either Doug Evans or we'll find Nicholas Schwartz, one of the two next in the field. There is Doug representing Clemson University and the Tigers of Clemson. And so doing pretty well for Doug here tonight. Running midfield. Doug had some struggles in practice. His son, Matt, Jeff's other brother, attended Clemson, so that's why he's running that. And he got Duke University here for the last of the Miracle Flow cars. And so back here a little bit through the field. Schwartz has had a hard season here, Evan, so not fully surprised he's in the back of the field, but he may improve as the night goes on.
So let's look at your Miracle Flow team update as we are back under green flag conditions. Miracle Flow is more than just hair care, it's built for the bold. Born in Rochester, New York in 2015, Miracle Flow was created out of a vision and necessity to level up the flow and the lifestyle that comes with it. Made right here in the USA, their products are crafted for quality and performance you can feel. Whether you're lined up with the boys getting ready to go to war or stepping out looking sharp, Miracle Flow keeps you looking fresh and feeling unstoppable. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just real results that speak for themselves. Miracle Flow, because your flow isn't just a style, it's a statement. And so far tonight, that man there has been making statements time and time again. Bradley Holly, back to the race lead quick after the pit cycle some 15 laps ago. He's not running away with it yet, but he's trying to run away from this. 89 into the outside wall. And as Zach Williams loses some spots, he gets kind of teamed up on the bottom. Evans, Paterni, Hunter, and Sink all through on the inside.
Boy, these Prophet Python trucks have had just a rough night at Darlington. It keeps him up in the walls, and these guys are just struggling at this track here tonight, unfortunately. But here, now your top four, at least single file. It's Holly, it's Barney, it's Lowendick, it's Baker up here, and Robert Barney would love to get that lead back. I mean, Brad's one of the best in the business in Premier Sim Racing at saving tires, which is kind of the key to this track. So we'll see what Barney can do. But what I noticed here on this run so far, Evan, is that Ted Lowendick and Steve Baker are doing a much better job at keeping up with the front of the field.
Yeah, trying to keep those leaders honest and kind of see where that dividing line is. Right now, it's kind of the top four. With Holly, Barney, Lowendick, and Baker running to 1, 2, 3, 4. And well, one of those is not like the others as Jeff Evans got a little bit loose off of the corner. Andrew Sharp dived to the inside. Mark Kaland makes a move for the number 6 and 7 position. So that'll be a spot exchanged. But Holly, Barney, Lowendick, they all started up front. Steve Baker did not. Baker started based on a provisional back in the number 22 spot and has worked his way into this position. It's the highest the Oregon Ducks number 2 has been all night long. Can he make some noise now that he's here with the big players?
Yeah, wait and see what he can do. It said up a number of spots. One of the few trucks really up any number of spots. You see Zach burnt loose again on the bottom of the track there. Jacob Dunn, the other big mover, up 14 in that University of Alabama Crimson Tide truck. But most of this field, Evan, for the most part, I mean, look at your other numbers. You got Mark Kalan at 10, and then 7 and 6, your bottom two. I just feel like typically in these races, and maybe it is the smaller field size, but the chart down there's typically got some way bigger numbers on it than what we see tonight. Most of this field is pretty stagnant, maybe up 1, up 2, down 1, down 2. But only a couple of big movers as the truck is around. That's Journey. That is Stacy Hunter. And so far, no caution tracings to stop that truck. That's, yeah.
That 79 almost went in the air as we had that perspective coming off of the corner. It was a battle for 15th and 16th position. And when Trace Paterni got into the outside wall right there, gets loose, comes down, and let's see the left side or right side tires, that truck almost went up and over and only had a glancing blow to the inside wall. The truck rolled too high up the racing surface for the sim to not hold the caution flag. We've seen some trucks, if they've spun and stayed on the inside of retaining wall, the caution flag would not come out. In this case, it does. So an accident for Paterni. brings out another yellow, and we'll slow things down as we cross the halfway point in this race.
Well, heck, I guess if you're Bradley Holly, if you're Robert Barney, maybe you're happy. You're up here and we're halfway, but drivers in the back are struggling. This has been, as far as wall hits, and I guess that's not a surprise. We talked about getting your Darlington stripe when we come here, but there's plenty of trucks who've earned their stripe and then some this evening. So a couple trucks here on pit road. Zachary Burt, Nick Serap is down there. Trace Paderni's come down pit road. Nick Hunter's down here. So, but most of the field is going to stay out here under this caution.
Yeah, most of the field went about 50 laps or so, we'll call it, before the majority of them pitted, right? Certainly through, call it the first half dozen caution flags. There were certainly some drivers who came in to get fuel, to get some service. Well, they were down there at the back of the pack anyways. But your leaders went about 50 before they decided that they wanted to come down and get service. So we are probably, again, somewhere in the ballpark of 28 laps away from that, if you're still kind of using the same math. So no surprise amongst the leaders that nobody really giving up track position. Thomas Sink is the first car on fresher tires. He only has 9-lap-old tires. He's back in the number 13 spot. Everybody in front of him has 23-lap-old tires. So if there is an advantage to be found with some fresh Goodyear Eagles, it would be with the Thomas Sink machine. Maybe we'll kind of maybe keep a half eye on Thomas on this next run to see if that actually gives him any sort of a benefit.
Yeah, that'll be the question, right? Do those new tires matter? Can you get to the field? Can the field stay green long enough? Are all great questions to wonder and ponder and look at here. But these two up front have not wavered all night. Maybe they've flipped 1 and 2. It's been, sometimes Holly, then Barney, Barney, then Holly. But these two up front have been the same two up front all night long. So we'll see once again what happens here when Bradley Holly comes around and hits this restart zone. Can he pull away like normal?
Yeah, Holly has been really good on these restarts tonight. Again, we questioned Steve Baker, who started back at the number 22 spot. He's now a top 5 machine. Is P4 kind of the limit for speed on him, or does he have a truck that can compete with Lowendick, maybe Barney, and maybe Holly? The other part of this is watch the battle for P2. Normally, the truck of the inside of Road 2's got a fighting chance. The outside will probably help Barney in the battle for second here, but it doesn't mean that Ted Lowendick is not going to give it a go and a challenge from that second lane. 36 minutes left to go. Green flag flies are back underway. It's one of the better starts for the truck in third. Lowendick, a nose in front of Barney to turn number 1. Can he steal the spot? Yes, he does. Great drive for Lowendick to take over P2.
Yeah, that was a great job by Teddy getting on around there and getting that pass made. He'll go to P2. Barney back down to P3, now under attack from Steve Baker possibly. Back to the field side by side is Nick Hunter and Stacy Hunter. No relation, by the way, so those two are racing hard. Stacy still has that SimGamingExpo logo on the back to make it look good. And that pass has now been made with Nick going on around.
So a couple of spots exchange off of the restart, and that's why it doesn't matter what's happened on the last couple of them. Every restart an opportunity for somebody to make up spots and somebody to lose some spots. That was probably one of the cleaner runs down the back straightaway we've had so far tonight. Nobody was way out of shape. Everybody keeping it pretty much on track with 35 minutes to go. And the season finale is season number 2 of the SimGamingExpo Truck Series. There's the onboard perspective is continuing to chase down for position. It's Kalen running in the number 5 spot. He, like Baker, big mover in this race. It's plus 14 for him.
And I'm sure Mark will be thrilled right now, by the way. Mark, in our post-race show last week, said this is not a track he loves. He struggles here. He said that again tonight in pre-race when I talked to him. He said, I just don't know what's going to happen here tonight. So when you come in tonight with low confidence about how well you do at a track and you're running P5, that can only be seen as a positive in my mind. So Mark Kalen here doing well up in P5, and heck, from this driver cam, or from the iRacing camera, I should say, I mean, that's a pretty smooth line through these corners. I'm sure he'll hit a wall every now and then, and most drivers do, but doesn't really appear to be struggling at this track.
Yeah, pretty calm. Not a lot of big, counter steering off of the corner, especially in turn number 2, which is critical. And the battle in front of him may make things more complex for him because the number 2 machine is Steve Baker making the pass on Robert Barney. So now Baker into third, the highest we've seen that truck so far tonight. So he continues his march forward. What does Kalen do now? Is the 62 machine going to be better than Robert Barney ahead of him? A little bit loose off of 2 that time for Ted Lowendick. Used a lot of the apron, but kept his foot in it. Stayed under power and trying to hold within a half second of Bradley Holly, who seems untouchable from up front, and diving to pit road. This time on the inside of turn number 3 is Brett Adams.
So far, ooh, Mark down below the racing surface, got to track back up there, and he's doing okay. Now look at that battle forming behind him though, as these guys are racing side by side. This gaggle on back, Evan, Sharp, and there's Morgan and Dunn back there, and more. So as these guys race side by side, they're just checking up the rest of the field, and this once was a 2-car battle that's become now like a 6 or 7-car battle through the corners at Darlington.
Looking off at the back of Barney there in the number 4 spot. Mark Kalen certainly thinking about a move that time, but again, if you don't have a good run on somebody, you really don't want to force the issue here at Darlington. Jacob Dunn way down to the inside. It's going to lose spots wholesale. Trouble in front of him now. The 41 of Evans bouncing off the wall out of turn number 2. That all started right here. Dunn into the corner. Gets a bump from the 27 machine to Steve Loving. Saved the race car, lost 4 spots, and then unrelated to that, Evans got squirrely, almost lost the 41 truck off at turn number 2.
Wow, Doug Evans hit that wall hard. I wouldn't be surprised with the way he pulled down the track. Oh, hold on. Sharp is
done. P8 truck hit the
must
wall.
Be some back there we didn't see, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think he got the wall in 3 and 4. I'm curious if that would be an incident point number, because it was a pretty good hit. To me, that's the only thing that that would make sense to me, right? Is hitting an incident point cap for that wall contact and then pulling it down, because I mean that was a P8 truck at the moment.
Well, this is about 2 laps before he parked the truck. Here's up against the wall. Your thoughts are not completely invalid, by the way. There is an incident point limit in Premier Sim Racing before you do get disqualified, and if you hit those walls hard enough, they can turn into 2 incident points per hit. So maybe the case, but I don't know. There a lot happened in that like 30-second range. Here's a battle between Stacey Hunter and Mark Kalen, by the way. And these guys are going down the front straight. And you would think a lot of times that Hunter would have the inside advantage here, but a lot of times at Darlington, as you saw Kalen do, Evan, that outside lane seems to run better. A lot of drivers want to be up top at Darlington and get that run.
What has been a night of attrition here at the Lady in Black, and it continues. Maybe the South Carolina number 51 of Jeff Evans can get the benefit of some home cooking here in Darlington and continue to have what has been a pretty good night for the 51. It's a clean truck. Not everybody can say that, and he has done a pretty good job at holding track position, trying to get back inside of the top 5 right now, but he just cannot get clear of the 26. Robert Barney operating in the tightest of boxes on the outside. Evans was not giving him any extra space to play with, and credit to Robert Barney, was able to make it stick and successfully hold him off.
Yeah, Barney's fallen back a little bit, by the way. Remember, he was up in that P1, P2 fight at the start of this run. He's now fallen back here a couple spots into P5. So we'll see if he can hold this off and how long he does. But it's Evans behind him. That is James Morgan back there from the Ohio State University. We had a long talk about that in Discord today about why it's called the and all those factors, but here he is. So going on through. James, just a fan, by the way, I do believe of. I don't think he went to Ohio State. I think he's just a fan of the. He lives in Ohio, so there you go.
It's close enough. Makes sense. Keep it geographical. Keep it regional.
Yeah. He wanted to pick a school that people would recognize. Actually, he graduated from Shawnee State University with a bachelor's degree in business administration, and now he wants to get his master's degree one day in human resource management.
There you go. I also love seeing some of the obscure, smaller schools, right? Some community colleges and pretty nuanced schools that, you know, if you're not in town, you don't really know about them. I also love seeing that some of that representation as well. So I enjoy knowing the context. Is you see in the bottom right, drivers that are either 3+ laps down or out of this race. Of the 27 drivers who started, only 17 of them are still on the lead lap. That's more than a third of the trucks that are no longer on the lead lap. And seems like pretty much if you're off the lead lap, you're out of this race. There's not really anybody hanging out 1 or 2 laps down. If you're on that list, your night's pretty much done.
No, in fact, that Doug Evans entry at the top of that list back in P18, 5 laps down, but on pit road. So I guess at least Colton Lane, Colton Lane 11 laps down is on the track. If there are more yellows, catch this, the 11 lap down truck would be your lucky dog every time.
It would take quite the string, right? Take quite a string of those in a row consecutively. And again, he's still on pit road. Andrew Sharp's out of it. Brett Adams is out of it. So I think the next closest person running, and to get a bit tail happy there off of 2, would be Colton Lane, 11 laps down in 21st. He would have to run at least 5 more laps to become the first truck 1 lap down. I don't know if he's getting 11 consecutive, though, to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, it feels like we've kind of strung out a little bit here, but boy, I'm not saying Trace Paderni hasn't had an issue or 2 of his own tonight, but every time we come back to his camera, it feels like the truck ahead of him is struggling. Remember Doug Evans was struggling around him, a couple others, but poor Trace has had a long night so far. But Jeff Evans doing well up in P6, having a strong finish to that season. So remember, we're not far from season 3, by the way. That will begin in about 3 weeks' time. September 16th, I believe, is the date for that. If you are currently a driver of Premier Sim Racing, we'll talk about it in a minute. Trace Paderni is done. He's parked it for the night after bringing out a caution, I believe, or at least be involved in a caution. I shouldn't pass that judgment yet. But you said Colton Lane would need a string of cautions. Well, there's number 1.
Yeah, he got 1, but he's still not the next man up because he hadn't had enough laps elapsed to pass the stationary trucks. There's what happened to Paderni. It was 4th position. Nick Serif got into the outside wall, slowed him way down, and then when the 79 tried to go low, Paderni got it off the wall. And just kind of a sloppy accident between 2 trucks that were well off of the pace. Ends with Paderni going around. He decided to take the tow to pit road. And with that truck not currently on pit road, something tells me Trace's night may be done. That was his perspective of the accident.
Yeah, that's hard to judge. I mean, he was trying to avoid it and just got caught up in it anyway as well. For the second time tonight, as you say, full sail pit stops are about to begin. It's Holly, it's Lowendick, it's Baker, Kalen, Barney, Evans, Morgan, Loving, and more on down pit road. Remember, last time by, Robert Barney a little faster than Bradley Holly, was able to take that number 1 spot away. Can someone dethrone Bradley Holly again? Trucks in the pits here. Evan, again, I suspect 4 tires and gas for everybody. Grip has been so important here. By the way, on a very hot racetrack. I don't think we talked about that yet here, but a very, very hot racetrack. And it is 122 degrees Fahrenheit. It is 1 p.m., basically virtual sim time. That is way too hot a track for me.
It's a hot track temp for sure. Not something that you want to go for. That's Phoenix level temperatures. As the race off the pit road goes in favor of Bradley Holly. Last time we were on pit road, it's Holly's second trip down pit road. He was beat on the exit of pit lane by Barney, who had the number 1 pit stall. But because Barney has since trickled back in the run order a little bit, Holly was I'm not going to say uncontested. There were 3 trucks right there on the race off of the pit lane, but Holly's going to be able to maintain, and it just feels like with Holly's pace that the only way that something was going to get mixed up if it was going to be an issue on pit road, but he executed well and will maintain the number 1 spot.
Yep, doing a great job. Well, listen, if you're loving the racing tonight and you're loving Green Flag TV, well, stick around. We have plenty of more action upcoming. Right now, the Beer League is underway. They're at Monza. We'll take you there for post-race coverage after this show. Tomorrow night, I'll be here for the Average Joe's Sim Racing League. We're here tonight. I'm just camping out to broadcast with Evan. I'm here tomorrow night at Darlington. And then also Nolan Rimple and Scott Raskin are here, so they might show up at some point. They're at Darlington as well for the Speed Xfinity Series. The Bolt League is at Vegas. Classic IndyCars at Chicagoland. Vortex Online Racing at Nashville Super Speedway. And SRA at Chicago. That's just up through Saturday. We are now at 7 nights a week of broadcasting, multiple broadcasts on multiple nights of the week. So always some fun action here on the channel. You never know. We've got Evan Posocco showing up on more shows lately. So keep your ears out for a familiar voice or 2.
You never know. My favorite part of the schedule is it's not beer racing league. Like we don't include the RL, right? It's just beer at Monza. I think I think beer at Monza is a good enough advertisement if you want to stick around into the evening. Worst places to have one, and that'll be continuing coverage as the night carries on. But we still got 23 minutes left to go in tonight's race. It's the Regan Bogue Motorsports 150 at Darlington. Green flag back in the air. Fresh tires for all your race leaders as Holly is off and away from the number 1 spot. Kalen still in the number 2 spot. Holds on to that. Ted Lowendick shakes off a challenge from Baker for 3rd and 4th.
Oh, there's a car up top in the wall again. That might have been Jacob Dunn, I think, back there, who scrubbed the wall, got it saved. He's good, now involved in a 2-wide battle. But look at this, Mark Kalen. Again, a driver who was very unconfident in his run tonight, up in P2, running down your Season 2 champion. A great run here, a great confidence boost win to Season 3. I was going to say, by the way, if you are currently a driver in Premier Sim Racing, signups opened today for Season 3. They will open to the public 1 week from today. And you know, Evan, with the SimGamingExpo coming up during the break, September 5th through the 7th at the Schlumberg Convention Center, next season, Outlap Motorsports becomes the title sponsor for Premier Sim Racing.
Yeah, it's exciting. Season 3 is just around the corner, and I know that Outlap has been a part of these events in the past as a sponsor, but excited to welcome them on board as the title sponsor of the Premier Sim Racing Truck Series. And again, for all the drivers who may not have a team championship or a driver position in the championship to fight for here tonight, the good news is, as always with PSR Racing, you don't have to wait a long time to get another crack at it. I think, 2 weeks off, there's a build week snuck in there, and then we'll be right back at it as we head into September.
Yeah, and catch this, by the way, start of the season, New Hampshire, Kansas, and the Roval for your first 3 tracks.
It's quite a trio.
Very different, isn't it?
I was going to say, we mentioned like this schedule this year, right? With the Lime Rocks and the Watkins Glens was very different than what we saw in season number 1. And that season 3 schedule also gives a unique flair that we haven't seen in the last 2 years.
Yep. So it'll be a very unique season. We know some of the tracks already, but not all of them. So that'll get revealed later. But again, signups open today if you want to rejoin for season 3. Bradley Holly's having a great run here, but it's got a small gap pulled on Mark Kalen. Ted Lowendick is doing a great job at keeping it here. We talk about Ted a lot, his road racing background, and in converting to ovals. And I wonder, Evan, at a track like Darlington, where it's so tricky and it's so much about braking and trail braking, as we see now those profit cars up in the wall again. I wonder for a driver like Ted Lowendick, who started in a road racing scene, I wonder if a track like Darlington feels a little easier. I wonder if that trail braking comes more naturally, if that tire saving comes more naturally, and it somehow benefits a driver like Ted Lowendick.
Yeah, it could. We talk about all the different styles that these drivers have. What kind of, some drivers prefer the short tracks. Some perform the high speed 1 mile, 2 mile ovals. Some drivers really enjoyed the insurgence of the road courses. Thought maybe that would give us some different winners, although Richard Regan Jr. and Bradley Holly are the only multi-race winners on the year. They won the 2 road courses. So in their case, at least, it seems if you're good, you're just good. That's translated to the road courses also. But a lot of nuance, right? These schedules are more diverse in a truck series, league, an Xfinity, a Cup league than they were, 5-6 years ago. That matches a lot of the changes and added diversity to the schedule we've seen on the real world side of things with the NASCAR National Touring Series. So it is giving, I think, more drivers more opportunities, because if there's a niche genre of racing that you like, you have chances to win races. And I think Ted Lowendick feels like he's got a chance to win this race kind of quietly on this run. Even though Bradley Holly is still your leader, he has not been able to pull away. Mark Kalen is all over his bumper. Lowendick in hot pursuit in 3rd. Your top 3. Throw him under a blanket right now with less than 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, these guys are doing great keeping the battle. Usually Ted kind of drifts up in the corner a little bit, maybe a little higher than his opponents. Lost some time there, but I'm sure he'll make it right back up here. And it seems unfazed, doesn't he? That maybe a small wave to the broadcast, in fact, maybe, but he seems unfazed by how difficult this track is.
And the onboard perspective, you can kind of see as Lowendick goes from being right on the bumper of Kalen to a couple of truck lengths off. It's the ebbs and flows of the pace. You've got to put a good lap together and get a good run off of the corner, right? High and into the wall that time for Lowendick. That's going to hurt him on the exit. You see right there, he's perfect. Exactly what I wanted. As he got into the wall and scrubbed a lot of speed, he's going to have to clean it up, try it again, and you have to put together 2, 3, 4 good laps in a row to make up just a few truck lengths.
You know, I was thinking in my head, we've had this college theme tonight with all the paint schemes and talk about it. And I was thinking, Evan, if you were going to make like an oval racing class, like oval racing 101, 201, 301, there's some tracks you could debate are 101s at Kansas, maybe a Vegas, you know, your cookie cutter mile and a halves. Darlington has to be like what, like a 300 level class of oval racing. This has to be like one of those, like, you know, Darlington, Pocono, you know, top tier. It's like a master's degree in oval racing, in my opinion.
It's a fun racetrack. It's, you know, unique, obviously not just in the terms of the fact that here at Darlington specifically, you talk about, you know, what makes good oval racing. It's a racetrack that is loose. It's hard to drive. Each set of corners is different. These trucks are always fun. They're also so momentum based to drive. So you really do have to nail the exits, but not every line is the same line around Darlington, right? I mean, you could go right up against the wall. You can see your 3 leaders right now, a little bit more central on the corner. Turns 1 and 2 may be my favorite set of corners on an oval on the sim, and it's not always going to be the most exciting corner because sometimes it's hard enough to get through it on your own, but you got to enter low and you get right up on the outside wall in the center, and then you got to dive low again because you can't ride the wall out with how tight the exit of 2 is. It's just a challenge every single time you try to navigate it.
It really is. It's one of the tough tracks. The word fun, you use that. I think there's a bunch of drivers tonight who may argue that word of fun, but challenge is definitely a great word for it. And you come through these corners and you talk to the drivers, you'll hear terms like, you know, diamonding the corner. That's not new. We're talking about diamonding the corner all the time. You'll hear some drivers talk about double diamonding the corners, though. That's just how difficult these turns are and how you have to handle it. You sort of, you know, do that diamond once, and the turn's long enough you can do it again sometimes. So different drivers will have different ideas, different aspects, different meanings for how to get around here. And boy, Ted Lowendick came close to getting to the back end of Mark Kalin. And for the first time in this run, there's a bit of a gap here as there's a pass for P2.
Yeah, starting to get a gap in contact in the battle for second. It's Lowendick on the inside, Kalin on the outside. And through the bottom of turn number 2, Ted Lowendick gets through to second. We're not done yet. Now here comes Steve Baker swinging to the inside. Can Baker join the party? He's too low, though, in turn number 3. Not going to be able to get the 2-for-1 special. Lowendick is clear for second. Clear for third is Baker. And it is all falling apart for Mark Kalin. Into the outside wall. And he'll go from a second to 5th in just one trip around.
Yeah, I had a couple drivers get aggressive and dig the bottom. Mark was stuck a little bit up top. And meanwhile, Ted Lowendick is the benefit of that. And he kind of pulled away. And you see those Buckeye stickers on the side of that truck. I'd have to say, Evan, with how great of a pass that was, a little bit of a body check to Mark Kalin, and he got on around, that probably deserves a sticker.
I would say so. It was a good piece of drive. And the one thing that happened is that was a pretty quick exchange in the battle for P2, right? We'll take a second look at how it all went down. It only lasted about a half a lap. There's the bit of a contact. Try to kind of force the truck up to be in an uncomfortable position to give you the preferred lane. You need to be on that low lane on the exit at turn number 2, and that's what the move by Ted Lowendick ensured. Even though this battle only went on for about a half a lap, it allowed Bradley Hawley to pull away. Remember, those top 3 were all super close to each other, and you see on the live picture now, that little battle is all it took for Bradley Hawley to open things back up to a 1.2 second advantage.
Yeah, so this is now going to put a big smile up on Bradley Hawley's face. And again, on the left side of your screen, you'll see some of the schools represented tonight and the paint schemes they've chosen, they've talked about. So I think we've hit most of them as the night goes on, but still fun to see all these going around here. University of Maryland, Ohio State, Alabama for Jacob Dunn. By the way, out of the race early, but Auburn for Doug Rice. I want to talk about that's a fun story. Both his parents went to Auburn. He did not. And both his parents went in the education field. And both of them were school teachers who taught Charles Barkley during his younger school years. So Doug has a very, very loose connection to Charles Barkley.
I did not know where this story was going, and I would have never in a million years bet on that being the closing line to it.
Yeah, so a little inside the NBA connection here tonight on the SimGamingExpo Truck Series.
Great show, by the way. Glad that it's staying with and
we'll
moving to ESPN. Hopefully, it is still the same inside the NBA, but we'll see.
Yeah. That's a great attempt at a passer by Robert Barney. And I think what's happened here now, Evan, as we're down to about 12 minutes on the clock or so, 13 minutes on the clock, these tires are wearing off now, and these passes are going to get harder. Those moves that got made on new tires when everyone kind of felt like Superman, well, now it's becoming much, much harder to make happen. Here is a Tabula Rasa on Tabula Rasa battle, the 12 and the 3. That's Morgan in the Ohio State colors, Dunn in the Alabama colors. And a funny story about this, we had to change the paint. We'll come back to that for a second. There's Barney now around, there's Barney trying to get around Steve Baker. Again, trying to make it happen on the bottom. These guys are side by side right in front of Mark Kalin. They're going to go through the corner. And boy, I mean, Robert Barney holding that truck below that white line, Evan, that's talent. And I'm not sort of being sarcastic, but to get that truck down there and keep it stable off of that banking takes a lot of work.
Let's take a look at what happened in this battle. As it was Barney to the inside. Give credit to Robert Barney, too, right? Started up front, lit a lot of laps in the opening 15, 20 minutes of this race. Made a big move that time. Couldn't make it stick, but he's trying, right? This truck slowly faded a little bit. Never really fell outside of the top 5. I don't want to make it sound like Barney fell into obscurity, but it would have been pretty easy, right, to get dejected. You fall to P5. These trucks are passing you and to just kind of lose the motivation, but give credit to Robert Barney. He has been fighting back. Took the number 4 position back a few laps ago, and now is trying to get back around Baker for a top 3 spot. So this 26 battling through it as we close into the final 10 minutes of this race. This is a good 3-truck battle with Baker in 3rd, Barney 4th, and Mark Kalin just behind them in the number 5 spot.
This is a great battle, right? And this is not done, I don't think, between Barney and others. I think this is going to keep going. Barney and Baker, even Kalin could get involved again. So I'd suspect this battle is not done yet. You know, and we watched Robert Barney touch those white lines down there and keep the truck stable. And it brings back to that thought, you know, Evan, there's always these tales, these legacy stories about how Darlington began, where originally people raced below the white line. This surface up here was thought as a kind of runoff for wrecks. But I got to tell you, Evan, maybe you have. I've never seen footage of people actually racing down there. I hear this story all the time, but I've yet to see proof.
I mean, I am typically a proponent of, I'll believe it when I see it, to your point, right? Of if you can make it work, go for it. But not the common spot. Looks like Brian Tope's got a black flag. That truck was on the racetrack, so I think the 54 got an incident point for getting into the outside wall, so he is going to take a tow to the pit lane, and that'll probably end his night. And it looks like Nick Seraph also with a penalty, likely for incident points also, because that truck just got into the outside wall in turns 3 to 4. He looks like he'll drive to pit road under power, so he's not going to park it. As here we go to the inside. Barney, Baker, it's round number 3, and the 2 stays in the gas and stays in front again.
Wow, credit to Robert Barney, by the way, for getting out of that and knowing it wasn't going to stick, because easily could have stayed in the gas pedal and tried to, quote-unquote, make it stick, and likely could have created contact there. But he got out of the throttle and backed it up. Maybe got in the way of Mark Kalin a little bit. Maybe got in the way of Jeff Evans a little bit. As that's now the battle we're looking at. This is, by the way, for third on backs, right? Baker, Barney, Kalin, and Evans all in your camera shot there. It's Lowendick and Holly up front. Lowendick trying to keep their leader honest up front. But this is the battle right now that we're watching. And boy, if you're Robert Barney, I think you got maybe, 1, 2 more opportunities to make that kind of move happen before you run out of time.
Your time is limited, and I think for Barney now, he feels the pressure, but there's a bit of an added weight to this, right? He feels the pressure with Mark Kalin and Jeff Evans closing in on the bumper that if I don't make a pass on Steve Baker now, they may be trying to pass me for the number 4 spot. But Barney also has to be worried if he makes one of those big moves. Remember the big slide job he tried to put on the 2 a couple of laps ago? If you try a move like that now with the 62 and the 51 that close, you may lose spots if you can't complete the pass on the 2. So Robert Barney's got to be very methodical here inside of the final 9 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said already, but if Robert Barney misses this next pass, what are the consequences, right? I mean, look at that. There's Caleb behind him. There's Evans behind him. Those trucks on back, Thomas Sink, Steve Loving, they are for battle in position as well. So if you miss this shot and you get loose or you hit a wall or whatever happens, you could fall from P4 to, probably a P10 if you're not careful here. So that's what you got to consider as well. About 8 minutes on the clock in a race that has finally smoothed out a little bit as far as the cautions go, and all seems pretty well here. Up front, still just a second of a gap between Lowendick and Holly. Nothing has changed there in the moments we've not been watching it. But, I don't know.
Well, you brought it up, so I feel less guilty about doing it. And I'm going to say it anyways. Inside of the final 8 minutes of this race, that Derrick, this is, I think, the longest green flag run of the night. These trucks working on about 32-lap-old tires. It seems like by this point you kind of know what your truck has got, what it doesn't have. But can we go another 13, 14 laps to the end of this race and keep it green? Here we go again in the battle for third. Baker getting leaned on by Robert Barney, but the 2 just will not give up that outside line in turns number 1 and 2.
And boy, doesn't that show a lot of respect between these drivers, by the way, that you're willing to do that and not do something more aggressive? And the fact that if you're Steve Baker, the respect and trust you have for Robert Barney and the rest of the field here, that you can let them race you that way and not be scared. That's one of the beauties of league racing when you're a veteran in the league, is you can trust these people to race you that way and know that you're safe. So that is an advertisement for league racing right there.
And if you're Kalen, what's the move? More drivers behind, battling for position. Loving getting a little bit low and out of control, hangs onto it. You got Jeff Evans, Thomas Sink, Mark Kalen for the 62 machine. Is this your opportunity to make a move on the 26? Or do you hope that Barney and maybe Baker make a mistake and you swoop in and take third? Kalen has not made a move on these 2 yet. He continues to watch as the 2's into the outside wall. Baker's going to get slowed up. Barney on the bottom. Is it going to happen?
Contact.
More contact this time at a 2, and it's going to be a drag race down the Boeing backstretch. Here comes Kalen. 3 wide to turn 3. 2 cars bail. Baker's into the outside wall. Kalen through to P4. And it finally, Robert Barney takes over the number 3 spot.
And Jeff Evans might have been the biggest loser in that move right there. He had to get out of the way of trucks that were checking up and falling back, and he's now going to lose a spot to Thomas Sink. So Evans now down to P7. So he might be the biggest loser. I mean, obviously, see Baker loose right there. Baker's down 2 spots from where he was. Here side by side is Kalen, or not, sorry, but that's Evans and Sink. They've got it worked out.
And how much more is left? Barney got the number 3 spot. Kalen picked up the pieces, stole 4th. And with Steve Baker back in the number 5 position, it leaves this trio as the best battle on the racetrack with about 5 minutes to go. You are not missing anything yet up front. Bradley Holly still your leader. I will say by only 0.8 of a second. That gap has closed a little bit. Still not close enough, though, to be a pressing battle for the race lead. We'll keep an eye on it for you. But watching the battle for 6th on back. Thomas Sink, Jeff Evans, Steve Loving. Who's got something left in the take to make a late race pass for position?
I think it's Evans, but I think Evans has a move left here on Thomas Sink. Sink's had an uncomfortable night here at the track. We've seen him wiggle a couple times. We've seen him have some struggles. So I think Evans has the opportunity. We're not looking for Steve Loving, by the way. I don't know, see what Steve has anything up ahead, but you can see the battle here. Listen, if you're Steve Loving, you're hoping something goes weird. I mean, as a wall hit doesn't help, and he's impeding 8 right now. But up ahead, I mean, he could be as good as P3, P4 if something wild happens in this race. Here's Jeff Evans. He peeked to the inside, He's thought better of it. He'll try later.
And when is later? How much time do you have to set it up to make it pretty? Or do you have to make the move out of necessity with time winding down? Less than 4 minutes to go on the clock. Chalk it up to about 7 laps to go this time by. And what a story it would be for Bradley Holly up front. It may not have carried the drama that maybe some of us would have hoped out of a season finale, with Holly clinching the championship by taking the green flag. But it would be quite a statement, I think, for him to win 3rd race of the season and a 2nd in a row to close out the year on his crowning night.
Yeah, this is just a stamp of approval, a stamp of affirmation maybe on Bradley Holly's season. And down at the bottom of your screen, you see Ted Lowendick is kind of making up some time, Evan. You see that SimGamingExpo green. It keeps happening lap by lap. Never mind for Ted Lowendick. I got caught right there by the live commentary, but Ted's trying. He's got it down to about 0.5 of a second, half a second, if you will. But he might be losing ground. The next challenge for Bradley Holly, though, in the next 3 minutes, will be passing Nicholas Hunter. Or what challenge does that lap car provide? And can Teddy make any ground because of lap traffic?
And don't look now. Will that lap truck play a factor at all in how Bradley Holly is able to close out this race? Last time by, Ted Lowendick in 2nd. Again, a little bit quicker. That was a 1.2 second gap. It's down to half a second. A battle for P5 and 6 is on. Steve Baker again going to get roughed up. Thomas Sink in the 48 truck on the bottom. Moves the 2 up and out of the way. Steve Baker's been getting used up late in this race. Jeff Evans, Steve Lovey next on deck. Do they also put a door to the 2?
Yeah, if you keep it that college football theme, Evan, you got to think Steve Baker feels like a tackling dummy at this point. It's been hit around, bumped into things, and for no regard, there's Mark Kalin. That was a hard hit. I would be surprised if that doesn't hurt that truck in the final 2 minutes of this race and slow it down. That was one of our harder solo hits of the night.
And you just now have to worry if you're Bradley Holly, just get to the white flag for this race to be official. There is a lot going on in these battles back at the top 10. There's some lap trucks involved in it. Some of them are for position. It's a split look at the battle for 6th on back on the top and the battle for the race lead on the bottom. Lowendick's gap now less than half a second between he and Holly. Is Holly going to be able to hold off the number 13? Could be looking for the 1 or 2 to go the next time by. Side by side behind them, it's for P6 and 7. There's a lot of contact between Baker and Evans.
I mean, on the bottom of your screen, there was a lap car up in the wall. Bradley Holly had to be kind of gingerly when getting around him. And still up top, car spun.
Loving sideways hangs on. The 2 of Baker's into the fence, still spinning off of turn number 4. Can he keep it pointed straight? Steve Loving does. We stay green. And Bradley Holly up front now. 40 seconds to go on the clock. Going to be looking for a 1 lap to go this time by. His advantage now only 5 car lengths over Ted Lowendick.
This should be the look right here. This should be your white flag right here. And Bradley Holly is just going to try to pull away. Lowendick's going to try everything. I don't think it came out, Evan. I think there's going to be like a second left on the clock when he got there. This could be 2 to go.
Let's see. 15 seconds on the clock. It's a 33-second trip around the Darlington Raceway. It's going to be close. If we get another lap in or not, is a lap of difference enough for Ted Lowendick to join the conversation? The clock strikes 0 off of turn number 4. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go on the season for the champ Bradley Holly.
But the championship is done for the race win. This is a discussion. He hits the wall up top. Lowendick does not. Lowendick gets a run. He'll get a better run off the corner. He's going to try and close the gap. Now down to 0.4 of a second coming to turn 3.
Bradley Holly going to close season 2 of the SimGamingExpo Truck Series in dominant fashion. Lowendick into the wall with a last-ditch effort. Bradley Holly will win 3 of the last 4 races on this season. The champ finds victory lane in Darlington.
Oh, what a finish for a race that we weren't sure how it was going to run all night long. had a tight finish. Congrats to Bradley Holly, a multi-time winner, a first-time PSR champion, and adds to his long list of career league victories, well over 200 across different leagues.
And after Richard Regan Jr. won the first championship with the SimGamingExpo Truck Series, it's a second different champ in 2 seasons, as Bradley Holly is your 2025 Season 2 champion of the SimGamingExpo Truck Series. And your race winner tonight here from the Darlington Raceway in the Regan Bogue Motorsports 150. Again, all 3 of his races coming in the last 4 weeks of the year. What a dominant way to wrap up the season. The 13 to Ted Lowendick will pull alongside. Robert Barney ends up hanging on to 3rd. Those top 3 trucks more than 10 plus seconds ahead of a lot of the late race drama from 4th on back. They were in a class of their own. Holly ends up leading 92 of the 118 laps in this race. And that is not only a race-winning burnout celebration, but a championship-winning burnout celebration as well.
You see a couple drivers going on around, but Brad's just going to get those donuts in a moment. We'll do the other tradition, Evan. We'll see if he wants to play the game, so to speak, of how long can we get the actual burnout to go. But Brad's is cooking it here right on the cookout sign. That's kind of appropriate. A little bit of smoke there, like you're smoking some ribs or some brisket or what have you. And let's see how long this burnout goes. I don't know. He's going to get turned sideways. Oh, there's a car in his way. This isn't going to go very long.
Oh, it's going to be dueling burnouts.
Okay.
As he is going to burn out on the front bumper of Thomas Sink, who wants to get in on the action, and that's a whole lot of smoke on the front stretch.
Yeah, that's camera's done right there. Nothing to see, but Tom's up there, I believe, due to just celebrating a good season and having a great run. There's Nick Hunter as well, giving her congrats to Brad Holly.
Well, let's take a look at tonight's full race results as we head into the Regan Bogue Motorsports post-race show. And we talked coming into the night about what could be, what we thought would eventually be for the Whataback Racing Group. And not only is this a championship for Bradley Holly, but with a Ted Lowendick P2, seems likely that Whataback Racing will also be your team champions this season. We will, again, double-check the math before confirming it, but it's a big 1-2 punch for Holly and Lowendick ahead of Robert Barney, the number 3 spot, Mark Kalin coming home into 4th, and Thomas Sink inside of your top 5, ahead of Jeff Evans. Beats out the Tabula Rasa Esports PRG duo of James Morgan and Jacob Dunn in 7th and 8th position. Steve Loving coming home in 9th, and then Mike Toomer Jr. quietly sneaks in for a top 10.
Steve Baker comes home P11 with Stacy Hunter back there on P12. Nicholas Hunter's in 13th. Is the first car a lap down. Then it's 3 or more laps down for the rest of the field. Zachary Burnt, Colton Lane, Doug Evans, Nick Seraf, Brian Tope, Zach Williams, and Trace Paderni 50 laps down. Your last couple of cars here: Andrew Sharp, Brett Adams, Nick Schwartz, Dustin Bumgarner, Evan Williams, Flo Doms, and Doug Rice back in P27.
It's looked at the bottom at your full race results as we head to the Regan Bogue Motorsports post-race show. Speed is just the starting point. Success is built through discipline, focus, and development. At Regan Bogue Motorsports, our iRacing coaching is built to develop winners. Through one-on-one training, we focus on the fundamentals that turn fast drivers into champions. Smart racecraft, disciplined decision-making, and pressure-proof performance. This isn't about chasing quick results. It's about building the foundation for lasting success. Regan Bogue Motorsports, developed for wins, built for championships. And on the note of championships, the champ is in the building. He is not only your race winner here tonight in the Regan Bogue Motorsports 150, but he is your Season 2 champion of Premier Sim Racing's SimGamingExpo Truck Series. Let's get a word with the driver of the number 184 machine, as it is all Bradley Holly tonight at the track. Too tough to tame. Bradley, a race win and a championship in the same night. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, you knew the math coming into this one. It was not going to be a drama-filled night. Clinching, I believe, when we took to the green flag. But how much have these last 3-4 weeks meant to you, and how important for you was it to end this one on a victory? You end up as a 3-time race winner, and all 3 of those wins, counting tonight, have come in the final 4 weeks.
Oh, feels great. kind of helps that Richard had to miss a couple races, and I guess the one I feel like I definitely earned was Watkins Glen, but it feels good to be on victory lane and get a team and drivers championship.
Yeah, Ted coming home behind you in P2 should lock up the team championship also. Tell us a little bit about this race. I mean, you guys qualify good. You were up front. Seemed like once you got to the race lead, every restart we got, you were getting good jumps. You were getting out to a decent gap. But late in that race, Ted started to catch you. It ends up at about a half a second. Just kind of walk us through the race from behind the wheel.
It was all about tire management. And pretty much control of the race. I wanted to take the lead as early as possible to try to dictate the pace and kind of see where it leads me. And that last run, I ended up pushing a little harder than I wanted to try to build a gap to give that cushion, which worked out, but made me a little bit slower. And I'm altogether, I'm happy with that lead, with the end of that race. It was definitely one of those, just keeping on track with how slick it was and bring it home.
You look back on, the season as a whole, obviously the race wins at the Glen, Milwaukee here tonight at Darlington kind of stand out. To you, is there a defining moment on the season where you guys felt like I've got the confidence that this could be a championship winning campaign?
Watkins Glen was a pretty big momentum builder for me, just because I put in a lot of time. I figured out some new stuff with the truck, with this tire model, and definitely translated it over to Milwaukee and to tonight, and was able to help me get 2 more wins and have a little bit of fun.
Well, it ends in a 3-race winning campaign en route to a driver's championship, a team championship as well. I think you guys have earned the right to roll out the red carpet for you. Who do you want to say hi to and thanks to for successful season 2?
I want to thank my teammates Ted and Colton for putting in some good races, and all the Waterback crew. We strategize as much as we can, and do all the audibles going into cautions and whatnot. And then I want to thank you guys for broadcasting week in and week out. Always enjoy watching y'all's broadcasts.
We appreciate getting to do it when we've got a talented group on the racetrack like yourself, your team, and everybody else in this series. Bradley, congratulations on the win, and congratulations on the Season 2 championship. It's well-deserved.
Thank you very much.
He's the champ, Bradley Holly, Season 2 champion of the SimGamingExpo Truck Series, and a race winner here tonight at the Darlington Raceway. We'll continue on with our post-race coverage. Derrick, will hand things off to you. I think you've got your P2 finisher tonight, Bradley's teammate in the team championship stable, Ted Lowendick.
That's right. We got the driver who's going to represent the... Too many buttons to be pressed there. The driver representing the Ohio State University. I think Evan kicked me out for saying the Ohio State University is what happened in that moment there. But representing the Buckeyes with Brutus on the hood of the truck is Ted Lowendick. Ted, what a run you had at the end there with Brad. You guys were kind of swapping back and forth who had the better lap, and what do you think it would have taken to beat Brad? Was it possible? Was it just more laps? What would have helped you?
I needed a new right front tire. I just couldn't get the turn in the middle of turn 3 and 4. I struggled with turn 3 and 4 all night, to be honest. I felt like whatever I could gain on the exit of 2, I just lost in the middle of 3 and 4. So I need to look at data. I think every time we come to Darlington, I can't figure that half of the track out. So, but no, hats off to Brad on the championship. He's worked hard for it all season. I know at Watkins especially put hours in, and paid off for him. So congrats to him. I think our team ended up grabbing the team championship too. So go us, and go Bucks, and hopefully we can beat Texas on Saturday.
Yeah, beat Texas on a route to then beating Michigan. And back right around Thanksgiving, whatever that's going to be, we'll hope for that as well. But had a great season, for yourself, a pretty solid points run despite missing a race. So now we look ahead to season 3. We start with a very wild schedule: New Hampshire, Kansas, and the Roval in your first 3 races. As I say those in your ears out loud, how does that sound?
That sounds awesome. New Hampshire will have to use the brake, so I love when we get to use our left foot. Obviously at the Roval, you get to use your left foot, and Kansas is probably going to be really fun with how these trucks drive around there. So it'll be fun. I don't know how many. Is that 2 weeks from now? I can't remember.
Yes, we take 2 weeks off. We'll take off the 2nd and the 9th. We'll come back on the 16th for season 3.
Perfect. All right. Well, I hope everybody out there listening now comes back on the 16th, and we put in a good show for them again.
All right, Teddy. Well, it's a pleasure watching your race as always. Congrats on P2, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening. Thanks again for the broadcast all season.
You're very welcome. Thank you. That is Ted Lowendick, and it will come down to the driver who started on the pole. He led some laps early before getting passed by Bradley Holly. Robert Barney, a great pole time, a great run tonight, but eventually he kind of got passed. What was it like out there tonight? Just very loose race trucks, or what happened?
Yeah, it was pretty loose, being in traffic there, and then like I didn't want to go crazy racing with Brad. I kind of wanted to let him go and then come back to him at the end of the run. But once I got caught up 3 wide there, it kind of burned the tires off and I fell back. And then I had the speed, but I get stuck behind Steve. I didn't mean to door him that hard going into 3, so I owe him an apology.
Yeah, a great battle to end. Yourself, Steve Baker, Jeff Evans, Mark Kalin was back there. In a way, was that almost more fun as far as the battle itself compared to what you and Brad did? Did it feel more competitive, or what was that feeling like?
Oh my God, it was really fun. Like, me and Steve had to be going at it for probably 15 laps or so. I think I was probably 2/10 faster than him, but every time I would get close on entry, I didn't want to send it and wreck us. So we fought hard. I'm sweating bad.
Fair enough. It was a pleasure watching you race all season. I'm assuming we'll see you back for season 3.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be back. I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting my feet under me and showing some speed every week. So looking forward to staying in front.
We're looking forward to it as well. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Definitely give a shout out to Rich, Reese, all the teammates at Regan, Bogue, Motorsports. Really appreciate you guys putting on a show. And I hope we did a good job tonight in making it exciting.
Well, you definitely did. Listen, it was a great pleasure watching your race. Congrats on the P3, and we'll see you in a few weeks at New Hampshire.
Absolutely. See you then.
All right, that is Robert Barney finishing at P3, and I believe, Evan, that wraps up our podium interviews.
It does. A big thanks to our top 3 finishers for giving us an opportunity to talk post-race. In this one, 3rd place finisher Robert Barney, 2nd place finisher Ted Lowendick, and your race winner Bradley Holly. What a night it ends up being in the end for Bradley Holly and the entire group with Whataback Racing. A 1-2 punch not only secures Holly a 3rd race win and a driver's championship, but secures them the team championship as well. And we mentioned it earlier, if these drivers want to get back into it, you do not have to wait long, and Season 3 signups are open for returning drivers first. New driver signups will open next week. For more information on how to get involved in that, you can scan the QR code on the screen to join the PSR Discord to learn more information, Derrick. And after a Richard Regan championship in Season 1, a Bradley Holly championship in Season 2, a new title sponsor comes on board. We kick off Season 3 in only a couple of weeks' time. Normally, the end of a year is kind of like a lull, but things are full steam ahead here with Premier Sim Racing.
Yeah, listen, I agree. It's full steam ahead. And if you are watching right now, hey, that looks fun, come out here. There's a new record available. Who wants to be the first Outlap Motorsports Truck Series champion? It could be you. So please join that Discord and see how you can get involved.
And of course, after our coverage wraps up, you can join us for post-race coverage of the ongoing Beer League race at Monza. Plenty more action to come on the week. But before we wrap it up, Derrick, wanted to toss it back to you one more time, give you a chance to share your final thoughts on a Season 2 that saw new race winners, a new champion, and a little bit of everything, which I think is maybe a good preview of what we'll see as Season 3 looms, only just 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I think this was a great season, Evan. We saw new winners. We saw repeat winners. We saw a title chase kind of upended toward the end of the season. What looked to be inevitable by season 5 became doable for Bradley Holly. So I'm looking forward to what's next. A couple weeks break here to get everyone a rest. But I'm excited to see what's ahead for Premier Sim Racing. So whether you're going to join some of the guys at the SimGamingExpo in Chicago in a couple weeks, or whether you're coming back for the broadcast in a few weeks, I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, the SimGamingExpo has been a great part of a sponsor for this series for the last 2 seasons. So highly encourage you to, if you're in the area or planning to travel to go to that, to have a good time. And then we are back, and I will go to you to confirm this so I don't give the wrong dates, right? We're looking September 17th at New Hampshire is the season 3 opener. Did I get that right?
September 16th at New Hampshire? It's a Wednesday.
One of those. It's the
those.
second or it's the third. 17th. I got it.
There you
17th.
go.
We hope that you join us there. We'll be at the flat track at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway to kick off another season. And if you've enjoyed the last couple of years, we hope that you join us for that one as well. Looking forward to see returning faces, maybe some new talent when those new driver registrations open up. Again, if you're interested, join the Discord, and we'll see you on track in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, that is it for us here tonight. And as we close our college night, go blue. And we look forward to seeing you next year. On behalf of our entire team, not only at Green Flag TV, but everybody with Premier Sim Racing for making these races possible and these broadcasts possible. And of course, for your broadcast team tonight with Dustin Ollis downstairs, Derrick Watson, myself, Evan Posocco, want to say thanks for tuning in and congratulations to your Season 2 champion of the SimGamingExpo Truck Series. Bradley Holly is a champion in Premier Sim Racing. We'll catch you in 3 weeks' time. Season 3 is coming up next.